Hey Xbox, I was wondering if I should buy Tacoma for you or my PC. Yeah, well, that's back when I thought it was only gonna be on you and Windows 10, and now that it's here on Steam, I kinda just wanna buy it there instead. You know, that's a really fair point.
Engaging retro thrusters now. Lunar Transfer Station Tacoma. Commercial Cargo Transit Facility.
Well, here we are. I'm reviewing Tacoma. Now, I was honestly really hyped for this game. I had my first real encounter of the walking sim genre of games last year with Firewatch, to which I enjoyed the game overall and gave it a 7 out of 10 when I reviewed it. This made me want to look more into the genre itself and find another one to play. I looked at the pool of what's currently available by watching playthroughs of other walking sims like The Park and Cradle, but I decided I would rather wait for a new game to come out rather than getting an older one. Shortly after that, I read up on a new walking sim coming out called Tacoma, and its premise immediately pulled me in, and by the time I watched a trailer for it, I was in full IGN believe the hype mode. But I made sure to downscale my expectations before it came out to judge Tacoma on its own merits instead of blindly fangirling about it. Which leads us to here. So without further ado, here's my review of Tacoma. Tacoma is developed by Fulbright and is available on PC and Xbox One for $20. Right out of the gate, I'd say that Tacoma has solid but not great production. The in-game graphics look decent enough with solid textures and decent lighting and shadowing effects, but it just looks so bland. I mean, really, what's the point of having decent textures, models, and lighting effects if all they amount to is just traversing the same bland rooms and hallways over and over again? Hell, other than a few exceptions like the crew members' personal quarters and a couple unique rooms, it's just the same gray walls and wood panel floors all over the place. Moving on from that, the voice acting across the board is tight and the game didn't have any real technical issues, but the worst thing by far for the production is that the game clocks in at 2 hours and 50 minutes at the most, which for a $20 game is extremely insulting. Even Firewatch was around 4 hours for the same price tag, and if I go outside the walking sim genre, it gets way more insulting. Because Life is Strange Season 1 had 5 1 to 2 hour episodes for $5 a pop, or $20 for the whole season, and Pyre was a 16-hour journey for $20. So as it sits, I'd say that Tacoma is grossly overpriced for what it is. Moving on to the gameplay, there really isn't much to talk about, in all honesty, but I'll try. The biggest chunk of gameplay is mostly you just walking from place to place in the Tacoma station gathering data for your investigation by watching augmented reality footage. That makes up around 95% of the gameplay, with 3% being zero gravity floating in space, and 2% looking for codes and secrets. Now, of the basic outline given to you, let me give you some more depth about the gameplay itself. You walk into a preset section of the space station. Once you get there, you have to gather data to investigate what happened. To do so, you have to watch AR footage where you just sit there watching AR models of people talk. But there are multiple conversations that happen in an area that happen at the same time. So to get everything, you have to watch the recording multiple times by going to other areas of the room and rewinding the AR tape. And this is how the game will present the story to you. My god, this shite gets extremely boring, and you do this over and over. But there has to be more gameplay somewhere. Oh yeah, you can play zero gravity basketball with yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Then, to make things worse, the game railroads you and makes you go to each part of the station in a specific order. So beyond it just being boring, the game also holds your hand the whole way from start to finish. Lastly, you have looking around for codes and secrets, which will provide you some background lore to the story and allow you access to other small areas and rooms, which I would recommend skipping because it's nothing but a distraction and doesn't add anything meaningful to the game and ultimately amounts to just length padding. Dragging along, I suppose it's story time. Yay. No, I'm not gonna lie. I've been dreading this part. You know what? Fuck it! I'm done with this video review. Okay, fuck this review, it's a piece of shit game, I don't get paid enough for this bullshit. So, after having a chat with the executive producer, I've decided to continue the review. Where was I? Oh yeah, the story. I've been enjoying this part because I loathe the story in Tacoma, but let me give you the setup of the story. In the year 2088, the moon has been colonized, but humanity isn't able to make the full journey there in one foul swoop. So the company that colonized the moon built a transit station between the Earth and the moon called Tacoma, which is manned by a 6-member crew and AI that helps to move people between the Earth and the moon and also does R&D in various fields when they aren't moving people. But at the end of the staff's first contract period, something happens and the whole crew goes missing and you have to investigate what happened. So with the sum up over with, let's dig into the meat of it. Immediately, I feel that Tacoma is a perfect example of a great idea being poorly executed. The idea of investigating a derelict space station in the untraditional format of a walking simulator sounds amazing to me, but the devs got extremely lazy. Right away, this laziness is apparent in nearly every aspect. The first major issue that I have with the story is the main character, if you even want to call her that. Amy, or whatever her name is, feels more like an observing audience member than a protagonist of a story, because she only talks in around 3 scenes and never has any real interactions with the environment and world around her, which makes me wonder why the devs even went through the effort of giving her a face, a voice, and a name if she's only gonna lifelessly walk around the whole time and barely have any role in the story whatsoever. The next major beef that I have is with how the whole story is told to you. The story just isn't told well. It's nothing but watching other people go through a more interesting story than the one that you're currently playing. Simply put, only walking around from room to room watching AR footage just isn't appealing to me due to me having no real interaction at all and just being forced to watch the supporting cast go through their struggles while having none of my own to deal with, making for a very stagnant and boring story that never changes much to me. Adding on to the list of problems, I really couldn't bring myself to care about the cast, because I was extremely removed from the situation, seeing everything well after the fact, and they barely even feel like characters to me when I only see them as color-coded humanoid blobs for around 97% of the time. So while they do have names and faces that are shown and referenced in the story, they feel really degraded as characters because I only remember them as Pink Girl, Green Man, Blue Chick, Yellow Guy, and so the hell on. But before I just start yelling, let's wrap this review up. Tacoma is a game that I feel really bad about having to say sucks in almost every area, but I'm really hard pressed to find many good things to say about it. It's overpriced, it's way too short, it has an awful story, bland design, and extremely boring gameplay. All of it just doesn't really amount to much of anything, making it one of the most forgettable games I've played this year, and when compared to Firewatch, it feels dwarfed by it in every way, so I'm going to give Tacoma a 3 out of 10. It's the worst walking sim I've played yet, though albeit it's only my second one. But regardless, I have major problems with almost every aspect of it, and that's why I'm rating it as low as I am. But I won't go any lower because I reserve 1 and 2 out of 10s for games that are so bad, they're deserving of that extreme low. Which Tacoma isn't that bad, but it comes somewhat close to that. So while I'm not ready to give up on the walking sim genre of games, this one just didn't sit well with me.